Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is such a privilege. I'm Susan Marinov-Zausner. I'm the president of the Intrepid Museum and Navy Band Northeast. I know everybody enjoyed the wonderful music. Thank you so very much. And on behalf of our Board of Trustees and the entire Intrepid team, it's an honor to welcome you to our annual Memorial Day ceremony. Typically, this is held outside, and we hemmed and hawed about whether to move it in, but I think we made the right choice. So thank you for joining us inside, and we will all stay dry. We extend a very special greeting to those military personnel and veterans who are here today. We salute you for your commitment to the security of our nation, and we salute you for protecting the freedom that we enjoy in this country every day. A welcome to all of you watching at home, whether you're in New York, across the country, or around the globe. We thank you for making us a part of your Memorial Day. I'm honored to present our special guests. I do ask that you hold your applause until they are all introduced. President, Intrepid Former Crew Members Association, Al Schumacher. Vice Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Mel Immergut. Co-Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Bruce Mosler. Commander, U.S. Fleet Forces Command, Admiral Darrell Caudle, and the 110th Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Eric Adams. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as our national colors are advanced by the New York City Joint Service Color Guard, and please remain standing for the performance of our national anthem by the Navy Band Northeast, followed by the invocation from Chaplain Brian Comrade. Present the colors.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we are here today to remember those who have raised their hands for our country and who have paid the ultimate price for us. We are here today to remember the freedoms we enjoy, freedoms of faith, liberty, and equality. Lord, we also want to remember those who have taken the oath and continue to defend those freedoms today. All-powerful God, may you comfort the families who have paid that ultimate price. And may you bless those in uniform and guard them from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And in the words of the prophet Isaiah, may we know the time when man beats his swords into plowshares, and we never again have war upon this earth. Let this be our ultimate prayer, a prayer for peace for all. And let us say, amen.
Thank you very much, the Navy Band Northeast. Please be seated. Thank you, Chaplain. I am very pleased to recognize distinguished guests who have joined us this morning, and again, I do ask that you please hold your applause till the end. General Counsel, United States Navy, the Honorable Sean Coffey. Commander, Joint Force Command Norfolk, Vice Admiral Doug Perry. Commander, Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, Rear Admiral Wesley McCall. Deputy Commander, Fleet Marine Force Atlantic, Marine Forces Command, Marine Forces Northern Command, Brigadier General Matthew Good. Commander, Sector New York, Captain John Andrzejczyk. Commander, New York City Department of Veterans Services, Commissioner, James Hendon. On Memorial Day, we honor all those who made the ultimate sacrifice, protecting our nation and our freedom. And we recognize how especially fitting it is that we do so on this legendary aircraft carrier, Intrepid. Throughout Intrepid's history, 250 of its own sailors gave their lives aboard the ship and in the skies above. Some of the brave men who served with them are here with us today, and may I ask all of our former crew members of the Intrepid to please stand and be recognized. Thank you, gentlemen. Commissioned in 1943, Intrepid served in the Pacific Theater in World War II, where it endured 4 kamikaze attacks and a torpedo strike. It went on to play a major role in the Cold War, served 3 tours in the Vietnam War, and was a NASA recovery vessel during the space race. The ship was decommissioned in 1974. It became a museum in 1982 and was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1986. We are beyond proud that Intrepid continues to serve more than 80 years later, now as the centerpiece of this remarkable, one-of-a-kind institution dedicated to delivering the intersection of history and innovation as no one else can. More than 1 million visitors from around the world come through our doors annually, awed by our artifacts, the amazing innovation and technology behind those artifacts, and compelling stories of bravery, service, and sacrifice of the individuals who served on board. Our programs and our exhibitions amplify the real experiences of those on the front lines of history and the stories behind the engineering marvels in our collection that changed the course of world history. We utilize these programs and innovations in history as a springboard to inspire our future generations. Each year, we impact more than 55,000 school children, both at the museum and off-site, the majority of whom are underserved. And it's all through our award-winning STEM and history education programming. Despite the steel and ladders of the ship, the museum has become a leader in accessibility. We're proud of the recognition we received for these efforts, and also gratified the museum has become a leader beyond just our steel walls. We share our model of access and inclusion nationwide so that other historic sites can learn from and replicate our initiatives. For returning service members and veterans, we deliver important, impactful programming that provides a supportive museum experience for those from all conflicts, particularly those with post-traumatic stress. with the aim of building community and easing the transition back home. And we conduct similar programs for the families of our veterans and active service members, and you have my promise that the Intrepid Museum will always be there for you as you have always been there for us. In order to ensure our ability to pay homage to this ship and its crew members into the future, it's imperative that we constantly evolve to remain dynamic and relevant. With that as a lens, we have several exciting new initiatives on the horizon that intersect history and innovation. As just one example, we have embarked on a multi-year fundraising campaign to restore a 7,000 square foot space on Intrepid's second deck that includes the ship's sick bay, its hospital, along with the ship's barbershop and post office. This extensive physical restoration will also be immersive as we integrate augmented and virtual reality experiences, making the spaces accessible in person at the museum or elsewhere off-site. Visitors will not only be able to see what life was like on board, but they'll be able to live it for themselves. And soon, places we can't ever open to the public, like the engine room or the boiler room, will be virtually accessible for all to experience using these same technologies. So just as the ship was a marvel of innovation in its day, we will always innovate in order to perpetuate the stories of all of those who served for generations to come. I am proud to introduce an Intrepid dedicated leader. A longtime vice chairman of the museum, he was chairman of one of Wall Street's premier law firms for almost 20 years. He is a recipient of the Exceptional Public Service Medal, among the highest civilian awards of the Secretary of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mel Irmagut.
Memorial Day is our annual holiday for remembering those who have died while serving their country as members of our armed forces. We are truly blessed today to have as our Memorial Day speaker on Intrepid, Admiral Darrell Caudle, the current commander of the United States Fleet Forces Command, which is one of the largest components of our United States Navy, the most powerful and largest naval force in the world. The U.S. Navy, as we know, is fighting a war as we gather here today. We can just look at USS Bataan across the way. As war broke out in the Middle East and Iran-backed Houthi terrorists began attacking commercial vessels, warship Bataan instantaneously changed course and rushed at best speed to the Red Sea, conducting what Admiral Caudle described as a remarkable, almost 9-month deployment. Similarly, U.S. Navy destroyer USS Carney has just returned from its extended deployment, 7.5 months, in the Red Sea, where it fought in combat conditions not seen by any United States Navy ship since World War II. World War II, when Intrepid began its service. Intrepid is, besides Grant's Tomb, the only major military installation in New York. And Memorial Day, of course, is our most solemn day, commemorating as it does those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defending our country. It's therefore inspiring to have as our speaker on this Memorial Day on board this great ship, Intrepid, a leader like Admiral Caudle. There are currently approximately 600,000 sailors and civilians who make up the United States Navy. There are only 7 4-star admirals who have risen to the top of that 600,000 group. I have the privilege of knowing a number of those 7, And I can tell you from speaking to them without question that Admiral Caudle is regarded as one of the very best. A Winston-Salem, North Carolina native who has 2 master's degrees and a PhD, Admiral Caudle is a submariner by background. He commanded several individual submarines in his earlier days, submarine squadrons, and eventually assumed command of our entire nuclear submarine force, which is all of our submarines, because they're all nuclear. Remember that the submarine force includes the largest and most important part of our nuclear triad. So the Admiral's impressive list of accomplishments includes his command of the boats carrying the vast majority of our nuclear weapons. Admiral Caudle's warfighter background in the submarine service has prepared him well for the huge responsibility he has now as commander of fleet forces based in Norfolk, Virginia. He mans, trains, and equips over 125 ships, 100,000 people, and 1,000 aircraft. As commander of fleet forces, he's responsible for providing combat-ready forces forward to our numbered fleets and combatant commanders around the globe. He's also responsible for the Navy's participation in Fleet Week and has been terrifically helpful in that capacity to Intrepid. This is Admiral Caudle's 3rd Fleet Week, and I can tell you that his personal involvement has been a real plus for the Navy, New York City, and Intrepid. So his 4 decades of service as a distinguished warfighter and a gifted shoreside leader combines to make him one of the most imaginative and accomplished officers in the Navy. Admiral Caudle, on behalf of Intrepid, I'd like to sincerely thank you for all you've done for the ship and the museum during the last 3 years. Your leadership after we missed 2 years of Fleet Week because of COVID has been a huge plus for us. We are so excited to have thousands of Fleet Forces sailors and Marines and Coast Guardsmen and women, and of course Bataan, here to lead us in our Day of Remembrance in New York. And we really thank you for your extremely enthusiastic leadership in making that happen. So it's with the greatest honor and respect that I present to you the Commander of United States Fleet Forces Command, Admiral Darrell Caudle.
Well, good morning, everyone. And wow, Mel, I'm just going to record that and use that as my introduction, I think, going forward. Thank you for that, sir, for your kind introduction, your leadership, and our friendship. I am thrilled to be here today. Once each May, amid the hustle and bustle in the greatest city on earth, the city that never sleeps, just down the Hudson River from Lower Manhattan's 9/11 Memorial Site, we gather at the illustrious and renowned Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum to commemorate the brave souls who gave their lives for our freedom, for our nation, and for our way of life. New York City and the surrounding boroughs have borne a large burden of our nation's fallen, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War to the war on terrorism. So it's fitting and appropriate that we honor them here today, recognizing that all liberties as Americans come at a price. I am honored to be here and join you today to celebrate their memory, but more so to recommit ourselves for action to those men and women in uniform who have served this nation and interest in time of need. Those brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardmen, and Guardians, with a sworn obligation and duty to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Our pledge and our prayer this day are for those free men and women who bear the weight of all that we hold dear, must constantly and diligently be trained, equipped, and prepared to counter those in every corner of the world who seek to challenge the rules-based international order. We know there can never be peace without all the elements of national power working seamlessly together through integrated deterrence in which our armed forces are front and center. So on behalf of the over 2,300 members of the Sea Services here with me, thank you. Thank you to the tri-state area for all that you have done, all that you do, and what you will continue to do for our military, our warriors, and for the dedicated support of the 36th Fleet Week, New York. And for all of you here, thank you for coming to this Memorial Day ceremony. Your support to our warfighters speaks volumes about your commitment to what we like to call the center of the universe, our service members and their families. Memorial Day is a time to appreciate the present, reflect on the past, and renew our commitment to the future of America. It is a day of remembrance for those who gave their all in service to our country while donning the cloth of our nation. It is a solemn day for reflecting on the cost of freedom, the families they kissed goodbye, walking proudly into the face of unfathomable danger, and ultimately giving all to protect and defend our way of life. And so I would also like to acknowledge all those Gold Star families across the world, and any here with us today. I am humbled, as we all are, by your strength, your dignity and grace, and your personal sacrifice for so many. Memorial Day dates back to 1868, where President James A. Garfield spoke to about 5,000 volunteers at Arlington National Cemetery who gathered to decorate the final resting place of over 20,000 Civil War soldiers buried there. It was there he said, "One supreme act, the highest virtues of men and citizens, for love of country they accepted death, and thus resolved all doubts and made their immortal patriotism and their virtue." As the years passed, Americans far and wide began holding springtime tributes to the fallen, decorating their graves with flowers and reciting prayers. The tradition holds in Arlington today and continues to grow in cities and towns around the nation. So many mothers and wives, husbands and fathers, extended family and friends do their duty every day to ensure their loved one is remembered. They carry on each day with pictures on mantles and mementos of a life not fully lived. They carry on understanding that their son or daughter, their hero, chose this life of service, and thus they understood the potentiality of their ultimate sacrifice for the sake of freedom. The family members left behind carry on a hero's legacy, raising up their memory like an unfurled flag. Today, we also honor the families of those lost, for you bear a burden that only you can comprehend. We are grateful for the support you gave your hero so that they could carry out the mission of protecting the rest of us. And so it is a great honor and privilege for me to represent all 6 branches of our armed forces and its veterans on Memorial Day here at this great intrepid museum. On behalf of all of our nation's service members and their families, my wife Donna and I would like to thank each one and every one of you around the world whose staunch dedication, vigorous enthusiasm, and endless support provide us a stable foundation we as American warfighters need to defend this great nation. So to Mrs. Susan Marinov-Zausner, Mr. Bruce Mosler, and Mr. Mel Emmergut, and the entire Intrepid Museum team and the work you do to instill integrity, innovation, and inclusivity among our nation's youth is unprecedented. Thank you for your loyal devotion to duty and honoring our nation's heroes and inspiring generations of Americans. And to Mayor Adams, sir, you honor us by being here, and to the patriotic people of New York City and the surrounding tri-state area, thank you, sir. Thank you for the extraordinary hospitality during this 36th Fleet Week, and so graciously sharing your wonderful city with the men and women of the United States military, representing the sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, moms, and dads across our great country. It is because of people like you in cities like this that our Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force, and Coast Guard create the most formidable and integrated combat team the world has ever known, hands down, no exceptions. This year's Fleet Week was an overwhelming success. It was all-inspiring to see over 2,300 sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardmen, as well as allies and partners, demonstrate why our Sea Service warriors are so incredible, so special, and so indispensable, especially in their formal uniforms throughout this historic harbor. I know without question they cherished every moment. Our maritime services are the greatest this world has ever known because of our people, and I hope you had the chance to witness that firsthand. The strength, the lethality, and personification of national power that we bring to bear anytime, any place, swiftly and silently, and talk to these men and women that bring all of this metal to life. They are the key to our unbridled overmatch over any potential adversary or strategic competitor. As the world's greatest Navy and most responsive service across the Joint Force, we have the daunting responsibility to remain America's mobile fighting force, America's away team, on watch around the world, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and we've done so for the last 249 years. What a fine legacy we share, one that you have worked so hard to sustain. And today, right now, we have our ships and sailors standing watch in the Red Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Arabian Gulf. The Iranian-backed Houthis are making every effort to shut down international maritime shipping, to attack vulnerable merchant ships, to influence the region's flow of commerce. But since October, our team has been doing an extraordinary job of shooting down those missiles, launching aircraft to remove radar sites, taking out UAV platforms, while keeping the lifeblood of the global market flowing through these vital commercial commons. Again, what a fine legacy. But that legacy transcends to all services because the warfighters represented here are masters of their trade. Each contributes substantially to their command and our military's various missions. Each of their families serve our communities in equally noteworthy ways. That legacy is defined by a long list of Americans whose courage, heroism, and sacrifice upheld the highest tradition of what our nation stands for and forged the unbreakable bonds of partnership, peace, and prosperity around the world in defense of the American people and our partners and allies. Americans everywhere take time today to reflect upon the honorable service and heroic self-sacrifice of the nation's sons and daughters, all who paid the ultimate price for freedom. I see the best of our nation in each and every service member, in every military spouse, in every military dependent and family member. Your support is what underwrites the excellence of our armed forces. May God bless all of those who laid down their lives in service to our nation, and to the families who shared so selflessly their loved ones with us all. May God bless our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, guardsmen, guardians, and veterans everywhere, and may God bless this wonderful nation and all of those we serve to protect. Thank you.
Sir, we can't thank you enough for not just remarkable words, but everything behind those words, and for your home and your away team, everything they do to protect our freedom that we take for granted every day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce the co-chairman of the Intrepid Museum. He is chairman of global brokerage for Cushman & Wakefield, and he helped to launch and serves as chairman of Cushman & Wakefield's own military and veterans program. currently a top 5 veterans program in the country. He is the interim chair of the Iraq-Afghanistan Veterans of America, chairman emeritus for the Business Executives for National Security, and has served on the Defensive Business Board, amongst other business and government appointments. Please welcome Mr. Bruce Mosler.
Good morning, and thank you, Susan. It is a great honor to share today's stage with such outstanding Americans. Mr. Schumacher, President of the Intrepid's former crew members, for his selfless service on this great vessel. Admiral Darrell Caudle, the 35th Commander of the United States Fleet Forces and an outstanding military leader. Welcome back, sir. Our Vice Chair and a great friend and an incredible champion for this museum, Mel Immergut. Our city's 110th and the hardest working mayor in the nation, Eric Adams. Members of the American military branches currently serving and veterans, members of the diplomatic corps, leaders in government, business, faith, and other forms of service for this great city, ladies and gentlemen. It is heartwarming. Actually, it is inspiring to have so many veterans and active duty service members joining us here today. And it is equally inspiring to see so many more Americans who have not served, but who have come here to support and honor those who have and who did. Thank you all for joining us. On this Memorial Day, let us give our proudest and most profound salute to all who served, to all who fought, and particularly to all in that great service, as President Lincoln said, gave the last full measure of their devotion, to as President John F. Kennedy reminded us, to assure the survival and the success of liberty. For today, as in President Lincoln and President Kennedy's times, we find ourselves at an extraordinarily dangerous juncture, with conflicts raging in Europe and the Middle East, and dark clouds gathering over China. We will always have the differences of opinions and ideas, but in this moment in time, we must tolerate those differences, engage in debate and discourse, because this is what makes our nation the greatest, the absolute greatest democracy on earth. But we must also unite in how we face these impending challenges. We must put our differences aside. It is time. For all our differences, I contend there is so much more on which we can agree than, in fact, where we have disagreements. We can agree that terrorism is true evil, that no matter what cause it purports to advance, that one nation must not be allowed to invade another to advance its empire, that individual liberty must be a global value, that we must always strive for peaceful solutions, that we must never put our men and women in uniform in harm's way until all other means of resolution have been exhausted. But ladies and gentlemen, we must be prepared if conflict is forced upon us. If thus we are called to fight, let us take comfort in knowing that we have the strongest, the best prepared, the best equipped, and the most dedicated military in the world, bar none. The heart of that strength, however, is the brave men and women who serve our nation. They do not fight for conquest or take what belongs to someone else. Rather, they fight for the survival and the success of our liberty, for our nation, and for their families. There is no greater forge for strength than this. So on this Memorial Day, let us remember and honor those whom we have lost, and give thanks for those who stand today prepared to defend our nation and our freedoms. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless America. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to welcome my friend and the leader of our great city, a man who we commend for standing strong against the voices of hate and a tireless advocate for this city. Our city faces some challenges, but he leads always from the front. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, he is the hardest working mayor in this nation, and he is committed to ensuring that we here in New York retain our place as the world's foremost economic, tourism, and cultural leader. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the 110th mayor of this great city, Mayor Eric Adams.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Bruce, and this entire Intrepid team for each year. No matter what I'm doing this time of the year, it is so important for me to come here and show my support. This vessel is a symbol of our strength and our resiliency. I was joined with the Admiral earlier this week, or last week during Fleet Week, and I shared my heart is troubled over the fact that my favorite New York Knicks did not make it to the playoffs. And I reflected on how important it is because although they lost, we saw the drive, the energy, the fortitude, the commitment, the dedication that they left everything they had on the court. And I reflected on that as a young man who admires sports throughout the years, and anyone who's an advocate for sports would tell you the most important thing you can do is build your farm team, build your bench, build the future of how you have a strong dynasty. And my question today during this Memorial Day weekend is, what is our bench? What does it look like? What is our farm team, our AAA, our D League? What is it made of? When you look at the fact that only 18% of 18 to 34 years old truly love America. When you look at the fact that 52% of Americans state they will not defend this country if it's attacked by foreign enemy. When you look at the fact that right on our college campuses, our young people are being radicalized with beliefs to hate America, and they are learning from young ages. It is a question mark that lingers over what does our future champions look like? The young men and women who will have to take the place of the admirals and the generals and the soldiers, what does it look like? I want to say to you that I'm taking that question mark and I'm straightening to an exclamation point, because I believe so truly in my heart that the rocket red glare of the bombs burst in air would give proof through the night that our flag is still here. And I'm not part of the 52%ers. I'm one of the 48%ers that still wake up every day saying a pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We must go back to the basics. My football coach told me when we started losing our games, he would state, we need to learn how to run again, how to throw again, how to catch again, how to be a team again. We got to go back to being Team America and stop apologizing for who we are in the isms of other countries. We're not socialism. We're not communism. We are compassionate capitalism. And that is why you could come here and work in the mailroom and then become the mayor of the greatest city on the globe, is because what we represent. And those stories line our nations. People come here year after year because we have the best product on the globe. When I travel to Ecuador, Colombia, to Mexico, when I go to our borders, no one is lining up to leave America. People are lining up to come to America because America represents the greatest thing that you could have in a country. Let's stop apologizing. Let's stop being ashamed of being Americans. Let's believe in the Joes of our lives. Joe was my 19-year-old uncle. I can remember like yesterday getting a knock on the door telling us that Joe was not coming home. He gave his life on the field of battle in Vietnam. He believed in this country. He didn't agree with everything. We don't have to be perfect. We have to be dedicated. We have to be committed. We have to be compassionate. That is what it's calling for right now. And those parents who are in the room and you have your sons and your daughters here, you are building out our farm team. You're building out our champions. This is the greatest country on the globe, by none. And I say it for the city of New York when I talk about it, but I want to expand it to the entire country. There's only two types of people that live on this globe: those who live in America and those who wish they could. We are the lucky ones. We are American citizens. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment and dedication. And we will dedicate this year by building a memorial for those we lost, servicemen and women who died post 9/11 in Queens, where we lost the largest number in the city due to post 9/11 service. We will stand firm in our patriotism. We will stand firm in our belief in our country. This country stands for something not only substantive, but symbolic. We must never desecrate our flag, never desecrate our ideas, never desecrate the men and women who watered the tree of freedom. So we can sit under that tree with their blood and commitment. Thank you, and God bless the great country of America. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, sir, more powerful words couldn't be spoken, and we are so grateful and privileged that you are here to share those with us today. Thank you so, so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now continue with a solemn tradition of this museum. We will lay 4 memorial wreaths on the Hudson River in memory of the brave men and women, heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. And while I ask the representatives laying the wreaths to all come forward, I do ask that you all remain in your seats. As we do set up the wreaths, there'll be some pausing in between. Please be patient with us, and I appreciate that. We all do. American service members lost their lives in the aftermath of 9/11 in the global war on terror. Laying this wreath is the Honorable Eric Adams, Mr. Bruce Mosler, and Admiral Darrell Caudle. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, in all conflicts in which the U.S. has fought, a total of more than 1 million of its service members made the ultimate sacrifice. This second wreath honors these United States military personnel. Laying this wreath are Commissioner James Hendon and General Matthew Good. 250 intrepid sailors gave their lives aboard this ship and in the skies above, and we have lost several Intrepid and Growler former crew members in this last year. The third wreath honors crew members of Intrepid and Growler. Laying this wreath are Mr. Al Schumacher and Mr. Bill Peters, the Navy submariner and president of the Growler's Former Crew Members Association. And the fourth wreath honors those lost from allied nations Throughout its history, the United States has not been alone in defending and fighting for freedom around the globe. They've been aided by brave men and women from other nations who have fought alongside our forces. Laying this wreath are Mr. Mel Irmagut and Captain John Andrejczyk. We are asking all representatives who laid the wreaths to come back inside. Molly, do you want them all to come back on stage, or should the Admiral go back down? Oh, wait, they might be coming back.
She always followed the Admiral.
Right, I was just saying. We appreciate your patience. It'll be another moment. May I ask our former crew members, please, to join me in front of the stage, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. They shouldn't have done that. It wasn't supposed to happen just yet. But they're doing it. That might have been rehearsal. Ladies and gentlemen, our deepest apologies for the technical challenge. And please know we are so grateful that you are here to honor those who've made the ultimate sacrifice to our nation. We appreciate all of your patience during the ceremony, and we do wish you all of our gratitude. God bless you, and God bless America.
Technical glitches. Technical glitches.
Don't worry, it's all right.